So you just lost 20 pounds and you want to keep it off. Or you might have lost 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it may be. And this time, you actually want to do everything in your power to keep it off and make sure you don't gain it back. How do you do this? And first of all, why do 97% of people that lose weight gain it right back in the first 3 to 6 months? And majority of the time, more. So what happens to our bodies when we put ourselves in a state of starvation, when we put ourselves in a state of a caloric deficit, when we put ourselves in a state of restriction? Well, obviously, our bodies are eating at themselves in a way. They are using our stored energy, which is fat, to continue fueling us throughout the day, right? There's maintenance calories, which is whatever your body needs to survive to not gain or lose weight. There's a calorie deficit where your body starts tapping into fat for energy. And then there's also a calorie surplus where majority of Americans are in, where you gain weight. And here's the thing. When people are in a calorie deficit, there's the right way to do it, and then there's the wrong way to do it. But then also, more importantly, when you've lost whatever weight that it is that you're wanting to lose, whether it's 20, 30, 40 pounds, how do you actually keep it off? Well, it all starts to your approach towards fat loss. Because the same way, or here's the thing, the speed that you try to lose fat can be half the time you will get it right back. So if you're trying to lose fat as fast as possible, what that means is you are going to have to be in a significantly greater calorie deficit. And trust me, I've tried this. I've tried doing calorie deficits of like 1,000, 1,200, 1,300, and the rebound, the binging, the amount of weight that you get right back is unreal. Like, you will literally get it back so much faster than you lost it. And why is that? It's because our bodies are extremely smart beings, right? Physiologically and consciously, they aren't connected when it comes to fat loss. Consciously, you want to lose 30 pounds. Physiologically, your body wants to keep you alive. So if you're in a state of starvation, I don't care who you are. You can have the strongest willpower known to man. Eventually, the greater the deficit, the longer the deficit, the greater the deficit, the greater the rebound. The greater you will just come crashing back trying to binge and eat as much calories as possible, because your body's starving. Your body wants fuel, and it's been restricted to such a degree that it just says, screw this, I want food. The first smell of food, the first sight of food, your favorite food, whatever it may be, it's going to see it, and it's going to start that cycle of binging. It's going to start that cycle of eating in such a calorie surplus that you won't even be able to recognize yourself in 2 weeks, because you're just like, I just lost 20 pounds in the past month and now I just got it back, or 25 pounds in 2 weeks. How is that even possible? Let me tell you, it's possible. It's possible. And a lot of people, struggle with this. So I'm going to, in this video, outline how to correctly and sustainably stay in a calorie deficit, when to know when it's time to get out of that calorie deficit, and how to get out of it in a way to ensure that you don't gain everything that you just lost and worked so hard for right back in a shorter period of time. So when we're approaching a calorie deficit, the most important thing is to pick a number that you feel comfortable with for a long time. right? There's no magical number, you know, 300, 500, 600, 700, 1,000. It's whatever you can sustain and what you can manage. I don't recommend anything over, you know, 7, 800, because after like 800, sure, you can do it for like a week, maybe 2 max. But then that's when the starvation starts kicking in. That's when you start feeling like a zombie. And that's when your body is just thinking about food the entire time. So most people, their comfortability is anywhere between 2 to 600 calorie deficit, where they can, sustain that and not have the negative consequences or side effects of a serious deficit. And what I'm talking about is just constantly thinking about food, constantly, battling against your cravings, constantly just feeling hungry and building a bad relationship with food. Because what we want to do is we want to just lose the fat, get into our ideal body, like the way that we look, see and feel and perform at our best, and then just live on with the rest of our life. We don't want to create insane relationships with food, have bad, tastes, and yeah, just basically you don't want to create a bad relationship with food. Because food is here to, enjoy, but obviously to, more importantly, energize us so we can live throughout our life. Perform, be with our families, not be a couch potato, do the things that we want to do, experience, and have the moments that we want to experience in this life. So everybody's a little bit different. Experiment for 2 weeks what kind of a deficit you can work with and where you feel comfortable. And then stick with that for however long it needs be until you like the way that you look. You're going to experience plateaus. You're going to experience times at the scale where you don't, see anything. As long as you're in that deficit, shit's working. Obviously, you're going to have to, adjust and calibrate depending on, how things turn out. But if you're really tracking, if you're really counting your calories, and if you're really in a deficit, just keep going. So now you've fast forwarded 6 to 12 months. You've lost everything that you wanted to lose, and you like the way that you look in the mirror. Now what? How do you get out of this so that you can not gain it all right back? Because you just worked so hard for the past 6 to 12 months, and now you don't want to grab it or get everything back in such a short time period. You want to maintain this new body that you've just worked so hard to achieve. So the biggest problem that people fall into is when they've lost the amount of weight that they wanted to lose, they think that they can just go back into their habits that got them there in the first place. Oh, now I can eat everything that I was eating before because I lost the weight and I'm good. Now I can just go back into old habits, go back into old routines, go back into doing the things that I was doing before when I was fat. Newsflash, John. You got fat doing those things for a reason. What do you think it's going to do if you just go back into those habits? It's going to put you back in the same state. And because you're in a calorie deficit for X amount of time, your body's in a state of hunger. So it's going to want even more food to replenish all that unused energy that it didn't have access to, food-wise. So, for roughly 3 to 6 weeks, you are going to have to do something that is called a reverse diet to slowly bring your body back up to speed with the amount of calories that it takes to maintain this new body that you've just built for yourself, or you've just chipped away the fat to reveal. And it's obviously going to take a little bit of work to figure out what that is. But my best recommendation is to start by, if you were in, if your maintenance is 2,500, if you were down at 2,000 calories for 6 months and you just lost 30 pounds, the best thing to do is week by week add 100 to 200 calories, depending on how severe your deficit was. So week 1, add 100 calories. Then week 2, 200 calories. Then week 3, 300. Week 4, 400. Week 5, you're back at your maintenance. And in these weeks, you will see, obviously you're going to put on some water weight because it's just your muscles filling out at the beginning. Your weight is going to go back up a little bit. Don't freak out. It's just water that's reabsorbed into your body. But more importantly, what you're going to have to pay attention to is once you get back to that number, let's say it's 2,500, you're going to have to monitor at that 2,500 if that is your new maintenance. Because obviously if you're 250 pounds and your maintenance at 250 pounds was 3,500 calories and you dropped to 200 pounds, your maintenance isn't going to be what it was when you were 250 pounds. Right? You're a lighter human being. And yeah, that's basically it. You weigh less. So it takes less food to maintain that new physique. Unless, of course, you've picked up some good habits and are more active, have more muscle, then you can allow yourself a little bit more food because it takes more food to fuel you. Like for me, for example, when I was like 177 pounds 10 years ago, my maintenance was 2,500 calories. Now I'm slowly building back up to my maintenance, which is 3,100 calories. Why? Because I'm a more active individual. I make sure I get 10,000 steps every single day, 150 minutes of my zone 2 cardio, and that takes a lot of energy to power me, therefore allowing me to eat more food. So once you've worked up to this maintenance slowly, and this is, in my opinion, the hardest part. This part is harder than the actual calorie deficit itself. Because when you're subconsciously figure out, okay, I'm done restricting myself, I like how I look, now it's time to eat again. If you just go from 2,000 to 2,500, I'm just using simple numbers as an example, your body is just getting like a shock of food. All of a sudden, you're just feeding it so much more food, and it's thinking to itself, holy shit, I want more. I want more. I want more. Because our bodies are designed to survive. So that's why, like, I'm sure you guys have heard stories where, like, people who are, like, starving, like, I'm talking about real starving, like, anorexic to the bones, because of, like, whatever might have happened, and then they just overeat in food, like, you can die that way because you've just overfed a human being. And obviously in our cases it's a little bit different, but your body is going to want to just binge, eat, because it just went through this period of stress, it just went through this period of restriction, and it doesn't want to go through that again. So it's preparing itself. It's like, fuck, I don't know if this guy is going to starve me again. I need to get as much calories into me as possible, as quickly as possible, to ensure that if we do go into that state of starvation again, I have enough adequate fat stored to be able to survive something like that. So you can just overeat all of your hard work. So slowly build up. It's going to take a little bit of self-control. It's going to take a little bit of mental discipline. Slowly add food into your diet. Slowly add food into your life until you figured out that base level of maintenance where you're not gaining weight, where you're not losing weight, But, you know, from the first 3 to 4 weeks, you filled out your glycogen because you just starved yourself. Not starved, when I'm saying, like, you were just in a restriction. You're going to put on 2 to 5 pounds in those couple of weeks, just refilling your whole body, adding more water into your body. It's not fat, don't freak out. And then once you get to that new homeostasis, let's say you drop down to from 250 to 200 pounds, you jump back up to like 205 because of your water, and now you're hovering between 200 to 205 pounds. You see how much food it takes to maintain that, right? So you slowly work up to, let's call it 2,500 calories for ease sakes. You eat 2,500 calories for 2 weeks, you've worked up to that, and you realized, okay, I didn't gain any weight. So now you know that this is your new maintenance. Or you've eaten 2,500 calories and you've lost weight. Or you didn't gain any weight. So what it means is that you're still in a deficit. You're still in a state of losing fat because you're still eating less food and you've picked up more habits, healthier habits. You're walking more, you're moving more, you're exercising more, where it requires more food to fuel your body and to maintain that new state that you've achieved. So then you bring it up to 2,600 calories. But the key component of this to keep it sustainable is to work up to that slowly so that you don't shock your body and put it into a state of overindulgence. And then maintain everything you do or you did to lose that weight in the first place. All the cardio you were doing previously, all the food tracking that you were doing previously, all the exercising and the amount of times per week you were going to work out. You still maintain that, you still keep doing that. You're just now slowly adding a little bit more food each week into your life until you've figured out, okay, this is how much food it takes to maintain this new weight that I like to be at. Right? Because so many people, they fast, they starve themselves, they do so much hours of cardio, so many, 6 days, 7 days a week, going to the gym, training hard, work so hard to lose all that fat. They've gotten to their point. Oh, I lost it all. Okay, fuck the cardio, I can stop the cardio now. Okay, fuck the tracking, I can stop the tracking now. Okay, screw the gym 7 times a week, I'm gonna go once a week. And then they just overindulge in food, and then they get it all back because they just dropped all the habits and all the necessity things that got them there in the first place. Nothing's supposed to change. Nothing. You're supposed to keep doing everything you did, but the only thing that changes is the amount of food you're bringing back into your life. So you're no longer in a deficit, but feeling like a normal human being again, and not depending on how long you did the deficit for, not like a zombie. Because I ran my deficit pretty long and I felt like a complete zombie. I felt like I was out of touch with reality at one point. And I knew that if I don't slowly start reverse dieting and bringing more food into my life, this is going to end horribly. So I hope you guys found some value from this video. Remember, fitness is here to be a part of your life, not just a momentarily phase of your life, right? It's supposed to be here to enhance your life, give you the energy you need for the work, the family, the friends, the lifestyle that you want to live. More importantly, so you actually have the self-esteem that you want when you look at yourself in the mirror. And then lastly, to, live a healthy and long life, because what's the point of doing everything that you're doing? What's the point of having all these kids? What's the point of, working so hard to make all this money if you're going to end up in a hospital bed because you're obese and you have diabetes? Come on, think about it. I love you guys. Subscribe if you're new. Drop a comment. And I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. See you in the next one. Peace.